Hello, everyone. It's been quite a while since we did one of these, but we're back again. For those who don't know us, hi, I'm Tony, and this is Ange. We run the Back to the Future the Musical fans Facebook groups and social media. Our group now has over 6,000 members. We're also posting to Instagram and X, and you can find all our past interviews on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, and all the other popular podcasting platforms. Um, Today, we're thrilled to be interviewing our first principal, Marty. It's Caden Brauch.
Hi guys.
Hello, thrilled to have you here, and
Yeah,
thanks for giving up some time.
of
How are you?
course.
Let's just check in. How are you doing at the moment?
Yeah, doing good. Happy to do this. You guys are so generous and so giving with your time and energy to support like all the different productions and stuff. So I'm happy to be here and to give back to you guys.
Yeah, we are thrilled to have you, Caden. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to start off with the very. We always start off with the very beginnings for you. So way before it began for you in the journey to Hill Valley, we know that you did a lot of regional productions in the US. So Jersey Boys, Godspell, Writing Kevin Taylor, West Side Story, to mention a few. So you've had a lot of experience before you ever started your journey to Hill Valley. But we want to know before that, way back when you were little Caden Brauch. How did it start for you? Were you always destined for the stage?
Um, that's a wow. In the name drops of the shows, that was crazy to hear. You guys do your research. Yeah, I think so. I think it was always kind of in my blood. There's a photo my mom has of me in kindergarten performing some song as like a chef. And that's a moment they kind of recall as like, yeah, that was always kind of what you were heading for, I think. So, yeah, and I mean, it's always been the thing that I've loved to do, and I grew up doing it, and then it just kind of continued to happen from like being a kid to being a teenager, and still, kind of booking professional regional work into those like high school years that I was like, oh, okay, this isn't just like I'm not just a kid anymore, and I think this could really be something that I could really pursue, and that's it kind of just the snowball kept rolling.
Great to hear. And we'll have to tap your mum up, see if we can get a copy of that photo to insert it in.
Oh no.
We'll do our best.
Yeah.
We know you attended the Chicago College of Performing Arts
Mhm.
2019 to 2020, and then
Yeah.
Cyber Acting Conservatory as well. I was interested to know that was a period, obviously, that for the musical it closed down in Manchester due to COVID. Did that impact you, your studies, like at a time when normally you're performing showcases? I'm guessing you couldn't do some of that, right?
Yeah, well, so that was my first year of college. But yeah, it was definitely affected. We ended that first year on Zoom like we are now. And everything was shutting down. And it really gave me some time to kind of reflect and um, I don't know, kind of see if what I was doing was what was right for me. I ended up leaving that college and kind of just spending a lot of time at home. Um, and then once things started to kind of open up, I found a voice teacher in New York, and they were. I just it all worked out really easily, and it just kind of flowed. And I was like, I wonder if I can just kind of make my own education, and that's what kind of prompted my move to New York. Um, because at least in America, that's just so the hub of like, I was like, I think I just, I think I got to do the move. I think I got to, you know, go for it here. And I did voice lessons. I found the acting conservatory T Schreiber. And, I took some dance classes, but I also took a lot of improv classes and stuff and really um, delved into that, which has always been something I really enjoyed. And then you can only apply what you've done before. But it's been very fun that Back to the Future has been a show that I've been able to flex those muscles as well. That's been really fun. But yeah, it just kind of I think the whole pandemic, and theater shutting down kind of became a moment to, I was just kind of the thing to the next thing, graduating high school, going to college and stuff. And it was a moment to pause and be like, okay, is this working? And, I think I was grateful to have that time to kind of really decide if that's what I wanted to do. And then to, once things open back up, really approach it again with like a newfound like excitement and hunger for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, something that maybe not everyone who's watching this will be aware of is that you started your Marty journey in the North American tourcast.
Yeah.
I was really lucky enough to see you at the Kennedy Center in DC. That
Yeah.
day, I actually like did stage door in the West End and came straight across to DC, did stage door there. So two stage doors, two
No
Back to the Future in
way.
one day.
Wow.
But just before we start getting into that and your journey into Hill Valley, just let's go a little bit back earlier than that. Do you
Yeah.
remember when or how you first heard about the musical, about Back to the Future, the musical?
Um, that's a good question. I think the first time I really became aware of it was when it was announced it was coming to Broadway. And I think I was on a summer contract at that time, or maybe even before then, but I just kind of heard inklings. When I heard about it, I never thought that like, excuse me, I was going to be like a part of that. I just had heard and I was like, oh, cool. Sounds good. Like, that'll be fun. I love the movie. And then it was actually, I did that summer contract and then came back and my first audition was for the tour. And so that kind of like, I came back and I was like, oh, okay, here we go. And then, you know, just my love for it really grew as I started looking into it and really, you know, coming to know what it was
Right, right.
as a
So you
music.
mentioned, your audition there. We always like to ask, what was your audition process like? Like, was it self-tapes? Did you like have to sing a song? Was it from the show? Was it something you picked? What
Yeah,
did that look like?
yeah. Well, I'm so glad you asked because I've shared this a couple times, but I think this is really the place to share and for you guys to really enjoy this story. My first audition was for George, actually,
No way.
um, which
Wow.
is not correct, but and they had not wanted me for George. I think it was just a mix up in like the emails that went out, and my agents had said like, yeah, well, we submitted you for Marty, so take a look at that stuff too, just in case. And I was like, yeah, that feels more right. But, so I showed up my first audition wearing like a button-up shirt and, you know, slacks and stuff, just to try and look the part for George, I guess. And I walked in and it was an in-person audition, which was I love being in the room. So that was really exciting. And we walked in, or I walked in, and they were like, "Great, shall we just go for it?" And I was like, "Let's do it." And the piano starts playing "Power of Love." And I was like, "Hold on, time out, pause." And I was like, "Yeah, you guys called me in for George," and they were like, "We did." And I was like, "Well, I know the song because I had been looking at it just in case." And so I sang Power of Love and then I did one of the George sides and they kind of laughed but they were like this is not right. And then whoever was bringing people into the room kind of followed me out and was like, "Are you available to come in tomorrow for Marty?" And I was like, "I would love to. Thank you." Um which then I had work that night. And so I was like in between working, I was like going into the walk-in freezer and like singing Only a Matter of Time because I was like, I'm supposed to sing this tomorrow. And like, I was like, this song is hard. So that was my initial audition. um, I then, they said like, yeah, we'd like to see you again. We'll let you know. So I knew that I was getting a call back. I just didn't know when. And it ended up being 2 months later of me just like, okay, it's gonna happen. So I'll just keep working on this stuff. Um, and they called me back in uh just for like another round of auditions, which was nice. I had really like a lot of time to work on the stuff, so I felt a lot more, prepared. Um, and then I got to go see the show on Broadway. They were like, "Go see it. We're going to get you a ticket," and that was really exciting. I was like, "Whoa, this is really happening. This is cool." Um, and then afterwards, I'm forgetting the exact word for it, but it was something like, um, it wasn't like a full callback. It was like, we just want to work on a couple things before the final callback. And I went into that one and we just sang through the songs and they were like, great, sounds good. We'll see you later. And I was like, oh, no, wait, I just saw the show. Like, I have ideas for the scenes. Like, did I blow it? Like, I didn't know what happened. Um, but it was all fine. And I think I went in the next day for the final callback, which had like everyone in there. And it was really, I don't know, I really enjoyed that one. Whoever was supposed to go before me was like in the bathroom or something. They were running late or just like not in the room when they came in and called the name. And I was like, I'm ready if you want. And um, the person who was bringing people in was like, are you sure? Like, this is your final call. Like, don't rush it or anything. And I was like, no. I like being just kind of like, let's go for it. I'm ready. Like, let's do it. And not like sit and think too much about it, just go for it. And then, like a week later, I think I got the phone call and everything, everything changed.
Amazing. What a completely different show it could have been if you ended up as George. Like, that would have been what?
Yeah, it would have been much shorter.
Yeah. So this was all for the tour, the first national US
Yeah.
tour. This was the first time you'd done a national tour, was it?
Yeah, I actually this was my first equity contract, so I joined equity for this show, which was very exciting.
Right. So you'd been to see Casey. Did you see Casey, was it on
Yeah,
Broadway?
I saw Casey
And you'd
twice
seen
actually. I saw it once during the auditions, and then I went back and saw it with my voice teacher. Um, she was in town, and we went and saw it after I'd got the part, which was cool to see it and kind of take it in as like a whoa, okay, this is what it's going to be.
right. So you really got to see like how physically demanding it was, what was
Yeah.
involved, all the songs, all the moves.
Hmm.
And then you went into the tour and you're doing like 8 shows a week plus
Yeah.
like travel days, and you had no alternate. Like, a few of the
Oh
shows
yeah.
there have alternates, and West End you have an alternate, and
Yeah.
like how did you find shifting to that lifestyle? Like the 8 shows a week,
Yeah.
touring, moving around. How was all that?
Yeah, it was definitely, I've learned a lot, which I'm just so grateful for. It's been such an amazing journey. It was kind of a cool start to start to the show because when we did, I guess we technically called them previews in upstate New York before that's where we teched the show, and then we went to Cleveland, and that was our like official opening. But those first couple shows, um, we only did like kind of half a week of shows in Schenectady was the city before we went to Cleveland. And so it was like, okay, let's, doing tech, and we did a run through, and then it was like, okay, here's the first show, here's the second show, here's 1 2 show day, and then you have a day off and we're going to go to Cleveland. So it was kind of a nice way to like ramp up into it and be like, okay, I can do that. Okay, I can do that. Okay, now here's the first like 8 show week. And yeah, it was just, a lot of learning. I think I said to Don, who played Doc on tour, like 6 months into it, I was like, hey, I've been finding like if I'm like, we have ideas as performers of like, here's my A show and then my B show. And the difference between an A and B show to the audience is not really noticeable, but it's just kind of like conserving a little bit if it's like, oh, this is the matinee and I still have to do one tonight. So I'm just going to like not scream as much, something like that. And I said to him, I was like, oh, if I conserve a little bit more on Tuesday, I can make it to Sunday and feel a lot better. And he was like, yeah, obviously. And I was like, I don't know, man, like I'm trying here. And, I love the show, and the audience are so exciting. And so and so excited to see it. And so I just want to give like everything. And then I'm like, okay, but you have to give everything to the full week. So how do you navigate that? So it's been, a lot of learning, a lot of lessons learned on and off stage. But it's been just what an incredible journey to have.
Yeah, we've seen you giving a bit of advice to Raphael, who's coming in as the German production Marty. They just started rehearsals like today or yesterday, I think.
Oh my gosh. Okay, cool.
Did you get any advice from like Casey? Did you get a chance to chat to him before you went on tour or anything that,
Yeah. Well, so when I saw the show with my voice teacher, we kind of waited off to the side, and I caught Casey before he went out the stage door, and he had apparently like, been talking to people and was like, who's playing it on tour? And he was like, oh, you're the guy. And so we talked, and he's just been so nice and so sweet about all of it. And then we, like, as a cast, went and saw it when we were in rehearsals. And I got to talk to him a couple times just about it. The one thing that sticks out in my head is he, and I still do this. He was like, hey, like, before you go down, just sing the end of Only a Matter of Time, just so you've like done it and you're like, okay, I did it. I know it's there. Now I can just go and have fun. And I was like, that's a great point. Because sometimes I do it and I'm like, oh, wait, hold on. Okay, there it's there. There we go. So that was a good
note at the end of that as well. So yeah.
And just, like watching him and trying to, like with respect, steal as much as I can, because he was so great at it. So it was really great to be able to see someone do it before kind of getting into it and kind of know a little bit of like what to expect.
Yeah. And you performed with him, right? You did like a duet at the
we
conference.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, what was the name of it?
I think it was like the Broadway League's conference where they like showcasing the touring productions that are coming up. But you and Casey were both singing "Power of Love," I think, or something.
Yeah, we did "Power of Love" as a duet, and that was really fun. And just like, I had just finished like a whole day of rehearsal. He had just done a show and was like running over after, which was crazy. But yeah, and we just had so much fun. And like at one point he like took his jacket off and I was like, sure, I'll do that too. Like we're just having fun. And I think that kind of instilled in me like the energy of what the show is supposed to be and what people like to see from it. So especially like at the end with Power of Love and Back in Time, like really treating them as like a concert and to interact with the audience, and and that's become just one of my favorite parts of the show.
Yeah. I'd seen you do this in DC, and Ange picks up on this straight away when she saw you for the first time in West End, where you're like, one more, okay, like
Yeah,
you're like going into an encore. It's like, yeah, it's
yeah,
great.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
just like a concert.
Yeah, of
When
course.
when did it hit you that you were playing this iconic role like this Marty McFly? Was it when you started seeing your face on all the merch and like huge posters, and or like when did
Well,
you really
that
think, oh
that was
man?
crazy. Yeah, that was something that was there's a couple moments. I think I got the call that I got the role, and it was so exciting for about 3 seconds. And then it was like, okay. And the kind of scale started to hit. And it was still very exciting, but just also scary. Um, there were a couple other moments though. I think my first costume fitting, um, when I put on the outfit for the first time and I looked down, and I swear it felt like I was in a dream, because I was like, but that's Marty McFly, and I'm wearing it. And that was just really, that hit me in a big way of like, wow, like this is really happening. Um, and yeah, I think, you know, all the posters and everything, like seeing my face places is like really never worn off. And I still like, I just feel like I have to acknowledge it whenever I see it, because if I don't, then like, then I'm like, oh yeah, that's normal, which it's so
Yeah.
not. Like there's an ad in the tube stations right now that's just my face, and I'm like, what? It's so crazy to me, but it's so cool. And just like, I don't know, just trying to soak it in, because like who knows, you know, who knows if and when something like this will happen again. So I just, it's so much fun, and I just really um just try and take it in.
Yeah, you touched on the costume fittings there.
Yeah.
Like, I've got to ask you this question, which I know this is a bit niche, and some of the real hardcore fans really do want to know about this.
Yeah.
But real talk, Curly Marty, you had a wig to start off with. What was the deal? Why did they think you needed a wig? Why can Marty not have curly hair? Casey was rocking the curls. Like, what was going
and
on?
and I love that he was, and I love that I am now able to. I think it was a creative decision, as it was becoming there more and more productions kind of throughout the throughout the world, that initially their thought was the idea of like a uniformed look across all the productions, that they wanted, like, this is what Marty looks like, this is what Doc looks like. um and then I think they tried it, and then I think they kind of realized like, oh, I don't think we actually have to do that, and I think the audiences don't need, you know the straight hair that Michael J. Fox had, to see, like, I got the jacket, I got the puffer on, like, that's
Yeah,
that's the look. And I think it's really fun that each production, I think we all get to use our real hair now. And I just think it's exciting that everyone's looking a little different, because, every production looks a little different. And it's, whoever we got, on that day, like, um, they look, and it's the individual, and it's the kind of in the moment that is what theater is. And that's what makes it special, that I'm very happy now that we're able to just, use our real hair, and be like, yeah, here's what this production is. And, you know, we're not because we're not trying to go for an exact recreation of the movie. We're not trying to do an impression. We do homages to it, and you know, they created these iconic characters and stuff. And but it, you know, it's about now our relationships with each other on the stage, and you know, that is what the production is that people are coming to see.
Yeah, it's funny how some things seem non-negotiable, you know, like the puffer jacket, the check
Yeah, of
shirt.
course.
Doc's hair probably has to be like it is. But it's
Yeah,
funny, some people get very sensitive to certain things, you know, Strickland, if he's not bald, then people get upset about that.
right.
But yeah, we don't care what your hair's like. You can be curly Marty. Great. Glad we
I'm
got an
glad to
answer
hear
for
it. Yeah, I'm glad to hear it.
Caden, as Broadway was closing last year in January,
Yeah,
it was then that we learned you were going to be traversing the Atlantic and coming to join us to make your West End debut as our
yeah,
Marty McFly in the West End, of something we were very excited, very thrilled about. Was it
yeah.
a surprise to you to be asked? How did that happen? And how hard a decision was it to leave friends, family, everything, your existing cast behind, up your whole life and move to London?
Yeah, it was a complete surprise. We had just finished our run in LA, actually, when I found out. We had just gotten to our next stop in Eugene, Oregon, and I was just getting home from getting some breakfast that first day, kind of like scoping out the new city. You know, we had just landed the day before, and we had come from LA where it was nice and warm to where it was below freezing, and we were like, okay, all of my warm winter clothes are in my trunk, so I was just wearing every layer I could. And I literally like walked in the door of my hotel, and my phone rang, and it was a +44 number, and I was like, uh-oh. And I mean, my first thought, I was like, oh, I'm fired. You know, I was like, what's going on? And yeah, they were like, hey, we have a idea we want to run by you. And yeah, would you like to, how would you feel about coming over to the West End and playing Marty there? And I just kind of remember like looking up and a little off to one side, just kind of like in pure disbelief. Because, I mean, you know, for the second time, this show like completely changed my life. And it was so insane. I sometimes still can't believe I'm here doing it. It was, I took about 1 second of like, I called my mom, and my sister was there, and I called them right away. And I was like, hey, so this just happened. And I had one moment of like, I don't know, like it would be so hard to like, you know, I loved the tour cast so much, and I still do, you know, and still am in contact with a lot of them. And I was like, I mean, like it'd be so hard to leave, like, and my mom was like, yeah, but it's the West End. And I was like, yeah, you're right. Like, of course. It really only took me you know, 1 second to be like, yeah, I mean, I have to. Like, why would I not? And you know, I was just, it was so crazy. So many weird little moments of like culture shock, like coming here and then figuring out like, hey, where do I buy groceries and stuff? And then, you know, like walking around and being like, where do I buy hangers for my clothes? Like where sells you know, I'm just trying to figure out the differences. But you know, basically, oh wait, 30 days has September. There's 31 days in January. So in 2 days will be my 1 year anniversary of landing in the UK. And you know, I had like a week of rehearsals here and starting off, but it was so much fun, so crazy to keep that a secret from my cast. And then, knowing that it was going to be announced to them. So I told a couple of my friends and, the people I was closest with. And then it was announced and, announced that Lucas was taking over, which was so exciting for him. And I was just, it's just, yeah, what a crazy time. And I remember getting to Denver and the programs there we were both up there, and it was like Caden Brauch, Marty, until I left, and then Lucas took over, and it has his dates of like when he started, and that was so exciting. And yeah, it was just, it was so cool.
Yeah, it was a big switch because also Sam from Broadway also then went over to the tour to be the swing and cover the role of Marty again. Yeah, so you had this change. You came over to the UK, all these cultural differences.
Yeah,
same role, same show, same production.
Slightly different. It was very interesting to see the slight differences. We had a couple less things set wise just because we're touring. So like in the lunchroom scene, there's one less table. So getting used to that. Some of the fight choreography was like a little bit different. So I was like, okay, instead of hit on 5, it's wait 6. And so that was, I was like, oh, please don't let me like hit anyone in the face. So it was very interesting to see all the little changes throughout.
Yeah.
But
you anticipated the question actually I was going to say is not exactly the same show. I know, I certainly was like frantically making mental notes when I came to watch the tour going, that's different. There's
sure, of
tracks
course.
in the ensemble. There's no fences and put your mind to it. So you had to like navigate quite a few changes. It wasn't just a straight slot into the show. What do you feel for you was like the biggest difference? Obviously, apart from the different cast and things, but what was, I guess pyrotechnics were different. You didn't have those on tour.
Yeah, we didn't have the fire and stuff. That was so exciting. I think there was nothing like that stood out as like the big thing, but it was just like several like mini things. I think that were kind of what was a little like, okay, I have to make sure I focus. And now it's all, muscle memory, of course, but and I would have to have like rehearsal if I, went back to the tour or something, like to be like, okay, what is that, so it was really there was nothing major, but it was really cool to, that would be a kind of a spoiler, but the car is a little different at the end, and that was something to adjust to, for sure.
Yes, quite different.
Yeah.
What about audiences? Like when we spoke to Corey and did one of these interviews, and obviously he's performed on Broadway and in the UK, and he had some thoughts on audiences. Do you notice a difference between like US audiences and West End audiences?
Sure. I think, it was interesting because we would also notice the differences in the different stops that we went on tour. And how some cities you're like, oh, okay, we're just a little quieter here. And, or like in LA, they were so excited and so, such fans of the movie, of course, that like all the little references and stuff would really hit. Or, being at the Kennedy Center and then having the line, who the hell is John F. Kennedy? That was a really fun place to be for that. I think I was told coming over that West End audiences were a little more reserved, but they've been great. Like, I think it's a little more like day by day. I think, some of the shows like a Wednesday versus like a Saturday night might be a little different, but we have some really great audiences, some really like, they're really into it, laughing, cheering, clapping. I love when we have like a lot of kids in and, Lorraine kisses me and you hear like, ew, that's really fun. Like the audiences have been great. And like, I was a little like, okay, I'll make sure to kind of adjust my what I'm expecting, but the enthusiasm is like absolutely out of 10, so I was like, I don't know what everyone was talking about.
Yeah.
People are like, the audiences are great here.
Yeah, every show's a little different anyway. I think we were
Yeah.
like doing a bit of research and like looking at some of the stats, and we think you might be the Marty who's performed against the most docs, like the most different actors playing doc, we
I
think.
think, well, yeah, so I've done um on tour with all three of them,
Yeah.
and then it's been Corey, Lee, and Adam, and then Brian. But then Gary came back for like one day.
Yeah.
Am I forgetting anybody? Because
I think
that's
that's where we got it too.
we
eight.
Yeah.
I feel like I had.
Yeah. How much do you think your performance changes with the different docs? Do you like adapt to them? Are you reacting differently? Like there are
Yeah,
similarities, but they're unique, aren't they?
yeah, of course. I think it's really with the moments, like there are some moments that really do change and make things different. Um, which is so exciting. Like things like the wait what moment are different with different docs. So that's really fun. And then because of kind of like some of the freer moments of the show, it encourages, I think, some play to be had. And so, it really does help to keep it fresh because, you know, um, especially like, because Lee being the alternate, like I have that version of the show also in my head pretty well. Um, but on the few couple times I've done it with Adam, like I'm like, oh right, okay, so this is like, yeah, I remember that we do this bit and stuff, and like, what kind of a doc he is versus somebody else and stuff. So I think that's um, it's really fun because like I said, I did a lot of improv in New York, so I really love just being like, yeah, throw out whatever. Like I'm here for it. Just
Yeah.
because you're really excited.
We love that. And like you said, that's what keeps it fresh. So for those of us who come like loads and, my friends, my family are like, why do you keep going seeing the same show? It's never the same show. There's
Yeah,
always
of course.
cracking us up and making us laugh. And
Yeah.
we love it for that. Yeah. I'm going to talk about some of the little more niche elements of the role. So not your singing and your dancing and your acting, which are all
Yeah.
phenomenal. We all know this. But little things that mean as an audience member is thinking, was that tricky? So if you just comment on each of these and tell
Yeah.
me. So skateboard, are you a great skateboarder anyway? Like when you were a kid in the US, did you have a skateboard?
No, I did it once with my dad, like one time, and in my final callback, actually, John Rando, the director, was like, "Do you know how to skateboard?" And I lied. I said yes, and he was like, "Cool." Well, and then luckily they still gave me skateboarding lessons, so that was good. But now I feel fairly comfortable with what I have to do on stage. I can't do anything else, but yeah.
Oh, good. How about dancing on those fences? How thin is the space you've got? Like,
It's not too thin. Your my foot can comfortably stand on there. It is a little, I think I've fallen off twice, maybe three times being over here. But definitely a fair couple. There's one of the stage managers is in the wing that's right on line with the fences. And so sometimes I've been like, whoa, and they're like, oh, and we kind of make eye contact. So that's really fun. But it's fine for the most part.
I think I've seen all your predecessors fall off, so you're not alone.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about the bonnet slide? I would like snap my own arm, sliding over the DeLorean.
Yeah. It was funny when Lucas organized that thing with me and him and Axel, we um, we all commiserated over the fact that we have all slammed our thigh into that. um, and all the bruises and stuff. And literally that day, I was like, "Yeah, I haven't done it in a while." And that night, I was like, "Ow, okay, that's karma." Um, I remember one day, like all the creative team were in to watch the show. I think it might have been like the day before cast change or something, and I just hit it at a bad angle and just ended up kind of rolling over the I was like, just keep going, they're all here.
Johnny Be Good, one of my favorite moments of the show. Can you play guitar? Can you play Johnny Be Good?
It sure looks like it, doesn't it? No,
Honestly,
I
I think
had
you are the best finger syncer that I've seen. Like, it's so believable that you're playing it. It's all like, I want to hear what you're playing to see how close it is.
well, listen, because I've said this to one of my best friends. He can play the guitar really well. Actually, it was a really sweet moment. I had a little party before rehearsal started for the tour that was kind of like a, hey, I'm gonna get super busy and then I'm gonna leave for a while. So this is kind of a way to say goodbye to all of my friends in New York. And he learned Johnny Be Good, and I sang it, and he played it, and he played like the solo, um, like how it's done in the show. So that was a really special moment. Um, I think my fingers are in the right place, but if you plugged in that guitar and heard what that pick is doing, that would not be correct. So I definitely try and it was very funny. We had like fake guitar lessons with the guy who played it in the pit on Broadway. And I think I still have the videos of like what he's playing and stuff. And I really just worked really hard at that, kind of leading up to rehearsals. Same with skateboarding, because I wanted to go in and I knew how big of a role it was and how many like, you know, things just throughout like the skateboarding tricks or Johnny Be Good and things like that that I just had to like nail. And I was like, I want those to be ingrained so that when we get into rehearsals, I'm not thinking, okay, and then what do I do here? So I really tried to work hard. So I thank you for saying that. I'm glad the hard work paid off and it looks believable.
It does. You're phenomenal. We love that bit. How about your doc impression when you have to do the great Scott, change destination time to 1:20 a.m.?
It's funny. I think I've just kind of ended up with a sort of generic semi Christopher Lloyd impression, or my best version of that, because that's not really what Corey sounds like. It's not like, and just with all the, like you said, all the different docs I've done it with, I'm like, I'll do my little version and hope that people go, that doesn't sound anything like what Doc is doing. But like sometimes it does, and I think it's just that my little own version.
I like it. And then last one, the Act Two quick change. You got really good quick change in Act Two. I had
Yes.
a previous Marty run on with attached a lanyard from, I presume, a wardrobe assistant or something. I won't say who, but they
Oh
had a lanyard
no.
attached to them. Are you for that? It's all good. That all good for you?
Yeah, I our wardrobe team is incredible. Emily, who dresses me, is really on top of it, and it's her and one other person who we do that change, and we have it real down to a science. That usually I have time to kind of sit there and kind of like, okay, here we go, here we go, here we go, and run on. So that's nice. Because yeah, that is such a beast. And it was tough on tour. We had only our head of wardrobe and then two dressers tour with us, one of which was for me and Doc specifically, just because if we don't make a quick change, the show will grind to a halt. And so we were really we made sure that someone was going to be kind of with us to be in charge of those. But that those quick changes were such that like one person is not enough for how fast those need to go. So it would be new people every city that would be like, okay, hi, nice to meet you. Here's what it is. Hope it goes well. I'm going to be running at you. And then, I always made sure to ask my dresser, Gally, on tour, if, hey, can you just like introduce me to the dressers that I'll be working with, so I have a chance to say hi and, kind of meet them before I'm running off and stripping down to my purple Calvins and,
Well, we're almost coming to the end. We've got a few more questions.
Yeah.
We've got like a little round of like quick or not so quick fire questions. We thought you've
Sure.
probably answered these like loads of times before, but maybe your answers have changed. Maybe
I
there'll be
love
a few
it.
surprises in here. So just to start off, what's your favorite moment in the show?
God, that's a great. I mean, yeah, because they do change, and I have different ones. But I do think Power of Love and Back in Time are real highlights, because I do like, getting to the end and really celebrating with, the cast and the audience, and having that fourth wall kind of drop and just really treating it like we did it and now we just get to rock out. And I think that's really fun.
Great, we love it too.
Yeah.
What's your most memorable blooper?
Oh man. I mean, God, there's so many. I think the one, and he might hate me bringing this story back up, but I think the one that sticks out right now, in my head at least, is during the plan with the model in Act Two, when Corey like behind the back threw the car at me, and I was wearing the goggles and it hit me in the goggles. And we just kind of had to laugh. I think on stage he went, "Why did I throw it at you?" And it was great because I got to be like, "Hey, at least my peeper protectors were on." But that is one of the moments that consistently, semi-regularly has bloopers in it, and always is a really fun scene for us to do.
Yeah, good to get your improv skills out
Yeah.
in those moments.
Yeah.
If you weren't playing Marty in the show, which other role would you like to be playing? Not
Ooh.
George, obviously.
I mean, yeah, I blew my shot there. Man, I mean, I do. Weirdly enough, I think Biff is really fun. I think, it's fun to kind of be the villain and be acting and being like, yeah, everyone hates me and this is fun. And also he gets time off stage, and what a dream that would be.
For sure. Is there another movie you'd like to see turned into a musical that hasn't been done yet?
Yes, Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Oh, yes.
Because of all of the fourth wall breaking that we do in this show, I think that would be so fun, and I would love to be Ferris. So I'm fighting for that one, and I'm putting that out in the ether.
I would watch that.
I'm really adamant about this.
That's great. Yeah, we'll pitch that to Colin and the team. Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay. Yeah, you mentioned sometimes you might lie to people about whether you can skateboard, what your skills are. We've checked your CV. Give us your best beatboxing demo.
Oh no, we're doing this. Wait, hold on, because I know you're gonna ask. Well, if you looked at it, look. Oh, it's blurred out, but I have a Rubik's cube, and yes, I can solve this. God, I haven't. This is so funny. Oh my God, I can't believe you guys did.
Time to update the resume.
I mean, like, nothing impressive, but a simple, that's.
That'll do. That's proof enough. Well done. Good. Better than me.
You're giving the fans what they want.
That's hilarious.
Okay, have you got any? We've seen like from cast socials and this official account recently. Before the show,
Yeah.
you all do a circle time. Apart from that, is there any particular rituals or superstitions that you have to go through?
Ooh, let's see. What are some things? I mean, there's a lot of like, like singing the end of Only a Matter of Time, stuff like that. What else is something we used to do? This was a thing that Sarah, the previous Lorraine, did, and then it became such a habit for all of us that she would take a breath mint and then she would give one to me and Biff before the parking lot scene, which I always thought was fun. Trying to think if there's anything like really ritualistic that we do now. Yeah, I think it's just kind of boring stuff like that. But I do like to I have a playlist that's just a lot of like classic rock that I like to sing and warm up to, just to kind of like not only warm up my voice into that style, but also like kind of bring in that energy, for the show.
Good. Are you familiar with Roles We'll Never Play?
I think so.
So specifically put it to you, what would be your roles that we'll never play song?
Ooh, it's a great question. I mean, I'll give an answer, but this is slightly different. But I've had the idea for like doing like um putting this together for like a cabaret, but like a medley of songs that I'm simply too short to play. So it'd be like, a combo of like Dancing Through Life and like Roxanne from Moulin Rouge and like, I think I'm just a little too short to play Elder Price, even though that's such a dream role of mine. So like throw in an I Believe in there. And just these roles that I'm like, oh, I love these so much. And yet I am not 6 feet tall. So I can't play those. Um, as for like really far away roles that I could never play, I love Legally Blonde, the musical, so much. And I mean, Elle Woods is just like what a powerhouse of a role. Like that should be on every list of like hardest female roles to play. But yeah, that's so much fun. So if I could, but yeah, that would be on there.
I'd love to hear that. Yeah. You touched on it before. Is there anyone in the cast who can beat a Rubik's Cube faster than you? We know that you are, that's again on your resume. You've got
Yep,
that.
there we go.
Yep.
I don't know if anyone else can, though it is on my resume. It's not the coolest skill to have, so I don't think I say it out loud as much. But yeah, no, I'm sure someone's got to be able to as well. There is one in is it the automation office? I think someone has one in there. So some people on the crew can.
We are coming towards the end of the interview now, Caden. Obviously, we have recently heard the very sad news that the West End is set to close in a couple of months. 12th of
Yeah.
April. Get your tickets if you haven't got them already.
Yes.
You have been phenomenal. We've been so lucky to have you as our Marty. We are truly blessed.
I've been very lucky. This has been like what a crazy, you know, to play it on tour and then to come over here and keep playing it has just been like such an honor.
Yeah, we'll be super sad. What are you going to miss the most?
I mean, like, I don't know if there's one thing. I think, the cast, the crew, the show itself, like doing it every night, um, being employed, uh, but like it's one thing people ask fairly consistently is if I'm having fun up there. And the answer is always yes, because it's such a fun show. It's such an easy show to have fun with. And that's a good thing to remember because it is such a big role and so demanding as well. And so sometimes it can be really hard. Um, but I also just try and remember that it is also really fun and to try and lean into how much fun the audience is having. Um, so I think that's like the biggest thing, it's just been like such a huge part of my life and, has changed it for in so many ways. And it's just been such an incredible thing. So yeah, I'm really just going to miss it.
Yeah. Crazy timeline for you, hasn't it?
Really.
You've had some really cool once in a lifetime moments in the time we've had you. You've had your first West End Live,
Yeah.
Magic at the Musicals at the freaking Royal Albert Hall,
Oh,
filming
like,
The Power of Love on the
yeah.
performing with Ollie Dobson and Ben Joyce for the 40th anniversary performance last year. What's your personal highlight? What, if any, you can pick out?
I mean, you kind of nailed like all the big ones. Like those are all like, um, those are also special. And what's nice about those moments is that they're all recorded, and so I can look back on them and be like, oh yeah, that like what a cool thing. Like several cool things that like I've gotten to do over here. Um, yeah, I mean, I think those are all my big highlights. The only other like major one, um, like cast change was really fun, to like bring in like new energy and stuff. And I remember also very distinctly my first show over here. And I remember, um, I was so like pure adrenaline for that. And I remember getting into the bed for before Pretty Baby starts and it turns around and Sarah, who was playing Lorraine at the time, going, West End debut. And I was like, shut up. I can't think about that right now. I just gotta focus on like doing the show. But it's such a great moment that sticks out of like, here it is. And I'm like, no, 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 no. I can't think about that right now. I have to just like stay in the moment and stuff. But it's just been so many magical moments. And a really cool thing that I'm really grateful for over here. And I just want to, since we're kind of out of time here, as like a final thing to say, because you guys run the fan page, it was always like a rare thing on tour, or sometimes like one of the swings would go out with like their camera and take photos. And I'm so grateful to the fans and or the just people who came to see the show and with their phone or with their camera, the ones who take photos at bows and who record the bows, because then now I have all of these like really high quality photos, that I just get to look back on. And like some of them are really like, I'm like, okay, I gotta save this for like, to have as like I'm thinking about when we close and my, to commemorate and stuff. And that is such a special thing. And I just feel like not every show gets that. And I just feel really grateful, that we have so many wonderful fans who take those photos and come and support. And, it leaves us with the cast, leaves us as a cast with a lot of like physical memories that we can look back on. So I'm just really, really grateful for that.
Yeah, we're very privileged to be able to record that encore as well, and the bows and everything at the end. So it's great for fans as well to take those memories away.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah, you nailed it. We're unfortunately out of time. Unfortunately, the show is almost out of time.
I know.
It's pretty sad, but we're really going to celebrate like the last few years that we've been following this show, and we're going to keep
Yeah,
following the UK tour and the
yeah, of
Germany
course.
production, and we're going to France. We've already booked our tickets like so far
That's
in advance.
amazing. Yeah, you guys are
Um,
awesome for that.
like, do you have any plans? Like, are you going to stick around London, go back to the US? Do you know yet?
I'm headed back to the US. And I'm excited to I'm excited to take a little rest after, you know, um, and spend some time with friends and family. And then I'm really excited to, you know, uh, figure out what the next thing is going to be. But this is, you know, one thing I want to get more tattoos, and I'm definitely going to get a Back to the Future one because this has been such a like so many dreams come true mixed with so many things that I never even dreamed of. So it's just been a pretty awesome ride.
For sure. Well, we have to say it. We're really going to miss you, future boy.
Uh,
Thank you so much for giving up some time today. We know you're really busy and we really
yeah,
appreciate
no,
you
happy to.
taking some time.
Yeah, thank
Um,
you guys.
we will see you on stage again soon.
Sounds
Got a
good.
few performances coming up and we'll be there at the final few shows as well to say our farewells. But thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Bye.